Good morning. In northern Michigan, at the Bowers Harbor Inn on the Old Mission Peninsula, there is a long story, and when starting in 1959, when they built their Bowers Harbor Inn at the house of Charles and Genevive Stickney. Apparently, some people thought they saw a ghost. When I heard that, I started writing my play about it. Genevieve supposed to have hanged herself in their elevator, but that can't be true because she died in Grand Rapids, Michigan in March 1947. Still to this day, people see ghosts there, but it wasn't her. Reflections of a Mistress, a two-act play located in northern Michigan on the shores of Torch Lake and Old Mission Peninsula near West Grand Traverse Bay. It opens in the year of 1959. Jim and Fern have purchased the old Stickney mansion and have renovated it into a restaurant, calling the Bowers Harbor Inn. Shortly after their grand opening, odd events began appearing to their hired help and customers. Perceiving them to be supernatural activities, a friend of the owners contacts a Chicago magazine, the Great Lakes Paranormal Society, inviting them to investigate. 55-year-old Brian Hathorne, a journalist and authority on poltergeist phenomena, is assigned to investigate. Act 1, Scene 1. Stage setting is sparse. Light design creates a film effect and scene transition seamless. The stage is black. The sound of an approaching car is heard coming to a stop. The engine is idling and then turn off. The lights raise slowly on Brian Hathorne, a handsome man attired in gray slacks, white long-sleeve shirt under a loosely fit coat, and wearing a fedora. He's standing at a public telephone as he begins to dial. A telephone rings at the opposite end of the stage from where he stands. with the light slowly bringing the phone in view. Entering to answer it is an attractive middle-aged woman. Her name is Frances Wellington, wearing an extravagant summer dress. She calmly lifts the receiver to her ear.
Hello?
Hello, can I speak with Mary Beth Hazelworth, please?
I'm sorry, there's no one here by that name.
I'm Brian Hathorn, a journalist from Chicago. I was told she could be reached at this number.
Whoever told you that was mistaken. This is the Wellington residence. It's been my home for over a decade. I'm sorry I can't be more help to you today. Goodbye.
Wait a second. I've checked county records and Mary Beth Hazelworth is listed as a legal owner of your house. You know that, don't you?
Yes, but why is that any concern of yours?
It's important that I find her. Would it be an imposition if I stop by, Mrs. Wellington? I'd like to ask a few questions about her and also about a Mr. Charles F. Stickney.
Francis Stickney?
Yeah, you know him?
No, I don't, but why are you looking for Miss Hazelworth?
I'm an investigator for the Great Lakes Paranormal Society magazine. I'm up here doing an article on paranormal activities at the Bowers Harbor Inn. Mary Beth's connected to it somehow, and that's why I need to talk to her.
Why do you need to talk to me then?
Because you live in her house, and I think you know where I can find her.
I've told you I don't know her.
I recently spoke with David Bernstein, a mail carrier who delivered letters to your address between 1945 and 1953, from Laura Dillingtonham to Mary Beth Hazelworth. Do you find that strange? I do. You were living there during that time, weren't you? Are you still there, Mrs. Wellington?
Yes. What did you say your name was?
Brian Hathorn.
Mr. Hathorn, this is very unusual, but I can see you within the hour. Do you need directions to my house?
No, I've got your address.
How will I know you are who you say you are?
I have credentials, and I'm wearing a tan fedora.
All right, then. I'll see you shortly. Goodbye.
Yeah, see you then. Lights dim on Frances and Brian as she hangs up receiver, then goes to black. Within moments, sounds of an approaching car are heard. Lights rise on him as he stands knocking on her front door, with lights soon rising on Frances Wellington as she crosses to greet him.
Hello, Mr. Hathorn. I'm Frances Wellington. You said you had credentials to show me?
He pulls his driver license from his wallet. Sure. Here's my driver's license. And if you want to see my union card, I've got that too.
No, this will do, thank you. Please come in and follow me to the living room. We can talk in there.
There are 2 chairs at a small table. She motions him to sit as he looks around the room. Nice home you've got here. I love that oriental carpet. Oh, must have cost a fortune, right?
Well, it was a present from my husband, and knowing him, it was very expensive.
See, I knew that. I got an eye for things like that. Oh, hey, who painted the portrait over the fireplace? Stunning. It's got a lot of class.
Thank you. It was my late husband just before he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Would you please sit down? I made coffee. Do you care for some?
Sure. I have it black, please.
Excuse me while I go to the kitchen. Make yourself comfortable. I'll only be a minute.
She exits as he stands looking out the window. Hey, it's been a long time since getting out of Chicago, Mrs. Wellington. It's my first trip up here. It sure is quiet. I like that no honking horns or busy streets. And everywhere you look, there's a lake. What do you call the one outside your window? She enters carrying a tray holding a pot of coffee and 2 cups.
It's Torch Lake. The Indians called it Place of the Torches. But you're not here for anthropology classes, are you, Mr. Hawthorne?
She hands him his coffee and sits. No, but I'm a real sucker for a good story. Thanks. It's nice and hot. Thank you for the coffee.
Before we begin, I have one condition. Please don't ask any questions regarding Mr. Charles Stickney.
Sure, not a problem. I've got other things to ask.
So what is it that you want to know?
What happened to Mary Beth's letters?
I sent them back to the post office. Apparently, the woman sending them wasn't aware she no longer lived here.
Don't you find it odd that it took her 8 years to figure that out? That's a lot of wasted postage.
I can't speak for her, Mr. Hawthorne.
All right. That'll be easy enough to follow up on with Mr. Bernstein.
Are you implying I'm not telling the truth?
Oh, I've been an investigator for a long time, and you'd be amazed how many people can stretch a story. So, do you have a long-term lease here, or do you pay month to month?
I don't see why that's any of your business.
Why not?
If you did your homework, you'd know that I had a long-term lease, and only last year I extended it for another 5 years.
Actually, it wasn't last year, but only 7 months ago. I believe in mid-December. Does that sound right?
What else do you want to know about me?
You've been living here since 1940, and after the first snowfall hits the ground each year, you fly to Carmel, California, where you've had a home there since 1947. What else would you like to know, Mrs. Wellington?
I'm not sure I'm impressed or outraged.
While you think it over, I have a gut feeling you know where she is. What troubles me most is why you're not telling me. Does that make sense to you?
Why don't you ask your therapist, Mr. Hawthorne?
I like that. The reason I want to talk to her is because a poltergeist is haunting that restaurant. Do you know what a poltergeist is? Don't you?
It's a ghost, and I happen not to believe in them. And you still haven't explained why she has anything to do with me.
Not a single thing? She's just the owner, right? Here's something for you to chew on. My magazine was contacted by an anonymous friend of the restaurant owners after unusual sightings were being reported there.
Ghosts, I presume?
No, just one ghost. And this is where it gets interesting. There's an elevator that was going up and down without anybody on board. And their customers were seeing a woman's reflection in a bathroom mirror. Have you ever heard of what happened to Mrs. Genevive Stickney?
No, but I'm sure you'll tell me.
This next part gets a little hairy. Sometime during the mid-1930s, Genevieve was found hanging from a rope in the elevator shaft, dead from an apparent suicide.
Excuse me, why are you telling me this?
I thought I already told you why. Did you forget?
I've already said I don't know her. And if you don't have anything else to say, I would appreciate our ending this conversation.
I do have something else. I'd like for you to take a look at this photo. One of their waitresses shot it after seeing it written in blood on the bathroom mirror. He hands her a small photo.
I've had enough, Mr. Hathorn. Our conversation is over. I'll see you to the door.
We were just getting started.
I would appreciate your not contacting me again. Do you understand?
Sure, but before I go, I'd like to say something.
I think you've said enough.
Mrs. Wellington, I'm an authority on paranormal phenomena, and that name on the mirror is Mary Beth Hazelworth. And you just saw it, plain as day. A ghost did that.
The waitress could have been disingenuous, creating a hoax for her own amusement.
Sure, that's possible, but why her name? Why not Betsy Lou or Margie Ray? Come on, you know as well as I do. That's not how it happened. Which leads me back to you.
I don't believe I have anything to do with this, Mr. Hawthorne. Would you please follow me to the door?
I think you do, and I sense there's something you're trying to forget. Whatever it is, I know it's reaching out to you, and I think you know why. I've encountered things like this before, many times, and this does involve you to some degree, Mrs. Wellington. This is no coincidence. You're living in the house of Mary Beth Hazelworth, and you're saying you don't know who we're talking about? Come on, I'm not stupid. Well, sometimes I am. Are you positive you don't know where Mary Beth is?
No.
Oh, God. All right. I can see you've made up your mind. Listen, if you do happen to come by Mary Beth, could you please have her call me at this number? You have a beautiful home here, and thanks for the coffee. It was good. That's pretty much all I have to say. Goodbye, Mrs. Wellington. I know where the door's at.
Mr. Hawthorne?
He walks past her to the door.
Mr. Hawthorne?
He stops, turning to her. Yeah?
Please don't go.
Why the change of mind?
I know where you can find Mary Beth Hazelworth.
Where? Do you have her phone number?
No, there's no need for that.
Why not?
If I reveal her to you, do I have your word you will keep her existence in complete confidence?
Sure. So, where do I find her?
You're the first person to see her in the flesh since 1924. I am Mary Beth Hazelworth.
Say that again.
I'm the person you're looking for, Mr. Hawthorne.
Do you mind if I sit down? She nods and remains standing while he sits down, pulling a notepad and pen from his coat pocket. From here on, he will be taking notes down as she speaks.